Hey everybody, Hernke here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, a friend of mine, an actress. Her name is Mary-Helen Schmidt.
That is my name.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So tell us how you got started in the film industry.
Okay. Well, it's a very long tale, so settle in. I'm just kidding. I actually started acting when I was 6. I don't know why my mom thought to do this, but she took me to the community theater and had me audition. And I got into the play, and I was like, this is the most fun I've ever had in my life. All these people are amazing. I just like to play on stage with all these grown-ups and other kids. And so after that, I just was always doing it, but I didn't think at that point in my life that that was a thing you could do for a career. So I just did it for fun. And in college I did it a lot as well. And it wasn't until I took I did an exchange program. So I was a music and biology double major in college. And I took an exchange program in New York and studied musical theater because I thought as soon as I graduate, I'll never perform again. I'm going to go be a teacher or something. I'll teach science or I'll, teach music, whatever I have to do. So I just really want to do this before I graduate. And I went to New York and I really got a look at the acting industry there from the inside, and I got to work with a lot of people that work on Broadway, that work on films, work on TV, and that's when I realized that people can do this for a living. And so then I went back to Minneapolis, which is where I was going to school. It's the second largest center for the performing arts per capita after New York. So my plan at that point was to go back, start doing as much theater and musical theater as I can, build up a resume, and then move to New York and do Broadway. So that was my original plan. And I started doing that. I went back to Minneapolis. I got a job at a biomedical device company to support my acting habit, that's what I called it. And I just started doing shows. And I was always, for several years, I was in a show back to back to back to back. And I was always I was either in rehearsals or in a show or auditioning. And then once I had kind of built up a resume doing that, I sent that out to kind of the agencies that were in town there and started doing more on-camera work as soon as I got listed. And as I was doing that, I started transitioning kind of out of my job a little bit more so I could do more of it. And then as soon as I had a little resume built up there, I quit my job and moved to LA. And Here I am, yes. And I've been here about 6 years, and again, it's a slow build. You start with littler things and you force yourself to up level as you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of commercials. I've done, those independent films that go to the festivals and all those things, and then the most exciting thing and the most recent, and pray to God it comes out, is I did my first TV show. It's a streaming show. It's one of those 8-episode packages. It's not out yet, but I was a series regular, and so I call it like my feature film boot camp. So
nice.
I'm hoping it goes. Even if it doesn't, you can't take that experience away from me. I just really, really want to have something to show my grandma before she dies.
There you go.
So I love that. That's my favorite thing so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do this year to make more opportunities like that.
Awesome. Now, going back to the series that you did, you can't really say much about it until it's out, yeah?
I think I'm not 100% on that because there have been certain things that they've put out there. I think I can probably say the name of it and give the genre. Maybe that's okay. Yeah, it's called First List. If it comes out, watch it. It will be on a streaming platform. I cannot say yet. And it's kind of one of those. It's like spy thriller genre, crime thriller, spy thriller type show. Yeah, but it also has family and heart and good things like that.
That's good.
To mix in there, yeah.
When it becomes available, the link will be down in the description below so you can check it out. Going back to theater now, that's how I got started too. What was your first play that you booked?
This will be a shocker. It was A Christmas Carol. So, yeah, that was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is, I grew up in Alvin, Wyoming, but Cheyenne is the capital of Wyoming. And they had a little musical theater there, or a community theater there, and they would, of course, do every Christmas a production of A Christmas Carol. So, yeah.
Wow.
And I was the youngest Cratchit kid. And I was twins. I played twins with this other kid who was maybe 1 year older than me, but probably like 3 feet taller than me. So we really didn't look like twins, but it worked for me.
That's good. That's a very good experience how to get started in the industry is on stage, and a lot of people do that. And then you got to learn how to scale it back when you go on film.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. And actually that was one thing I realized when I did transition to more on-camera work, was that I'm more naturally that kind of an actor. So on stage I can be big and presentation, all that, but that's me putting it on. Mm-hmm. And the film and the TV stuff was a lot more natural to me, because I was more just like a be in the moment, react to the person, feel what's really happening, and it is more subtle. So that was one thing I discovered. Not that I didn't have my habits that I had picked up from being on stage that I had to fix, but yeah.
Do you have any memorable, funny, embarrassing experiences while being on stage, or any particular project you worked on?
I actually do, yes. And so growing up, I was a really, really kind of sensitive, self-conscious kid. After a while, well, I went through that stage, so I was embarrassed a lot. So at some point, I just decided, like, you know what? I'm not going to be embarrassed about stuff anymore. I'm just going to think it's funny. Everyone else around me can be embarrassed, but that's their choice. Mm-hmm. So at this point, when this thing happened, I was able to kind of just think it was funny. But so I was in a production of Picnic, and I was the lead ingenue girl, whatever. And there's this scene where there's guy, and he's like this bad guy in town, but like he's kind of rough around the edges, but like I fall in love with him. So there's this point where he's like talking to me, and then I'm supposed to just like run over and kiss him, and it's supposed to be super dramatic, and it's like this moment, and it was not my favorite scene anyway, but it would always work, and people were always like, oh, that scene. But there was one time I was wearing a brand new pair of character shoes, and right at that moment I run, and my heel just goes out from under me, and I slip and I fall in him. Oh, and no. The whole audience starts laughing. I start laughing. He is mortified. I'm trying to still say my line.
You're staying in character.
Yeah,
it's important.
But he is mortified. He's just he's like, something is not going right. Something is not going right. And I was laughing, but holding it in, but I still did the rest of the scene, finished it. We got off stage, and he was just like, I can't believe that just happened. I was like, it's okay. They laughed, they enjoyed it, it was fine. And he just was like, I think he couldn't talk to me for the rest of the day. It ruined his night.
But no, you're a perfect example of the show must go on. Something happens. You just got to roll with it.
Yeah. Oh, can I tell you one more?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this one's even better. There was one time. This is I think a different performance, not the same one, but we were performing and everything was going really well. It was one of those nights where you're like, everyone is on. It is lit. The emotions are there. Everyone's believing everything. Everyone's into it. They're on the edge of their seats. And same theater as the one I slipped on. All of a sudden, I hear all this commotion in the audience. We're not quite sure what's happening, but it starts kind of like a rumble in the back of the room, and it gets closer and closer and closer. And all of us are just kind of like, what's happening? And then it gets louder, and people are going, whoa, ah, wah, and then laughing a little bit, and we realize there's a bat in the theater, and it's confused because apparently it lives in there, but the lights and the people and all the commotion,
oh yeah,
it was just I don't know what's happening, so it's swooping, and it's getting lower and lower over the crowd, and pretty soon it's getting the front row, and they're ducking.
And did it go on stage too?
Yeah, well, no, it came around like that, but it never came like on. And so we knew that, so at this point we finally knew what was happening. And it was, but everyone was so like, well, we are doing this show. We cannot be distracted. So we probably played that was probably the best show we've ever had, but nobody saw that part because everyone was watching the bat and dodging and laughing and screaming, and whatever their reaction was to the bat was all anybody remembered.
Did it eventually stop though?
Yeah, it finally, I think, like, went up into a rafter and I'm being the bat right now, but it like went up into a rafter and settled and just like kind of hunkered there. It was like, this will be over soon, I think. But
hey, you should be happy. You should be getting free entertainment while it's hunkering down. So
right. It's probably like, why are all these people in my house? What are they doing? But yeah.
Oh, poor little guy. That's awesome though. Those little experiences, there's just something to look back and laugh about, and you know, I have plenty of those too, so.
Yeah.
And there's many more to come.
I want to hear some of yours, but if you don't want to tell me right now, that's okay.
Yes, I will tell you some other time.
Okay.
For sure. The other thing I wanted to ask you too is, do you have any goals or aspirations that you want to look into this year? Anything that you are booking right now, that you want to book?
Yeah. I really want to do a film. I really want to do a film that, something that's really, really meaningful. I want to do something that maybe tells a story that a lot of people can't relate to, but could if they watched it. Mm-hmm. That's relevant, and I really want to do projects that are just empowering to people that kind of don't feel like they have a voice. So that's my real goal. And there are a lot of people writing things like that. It's, for me, I think it's a matter of finding the people that want those same things and collaborating. So that's kind of, I guess, my overall arching goal. Then I have my specific goals, which are like, I want to get a lead in either an independent festival film, or I want to get a small part in a big film, like one of those things. Yeah, but honestly, any work that comes my way, that's good.
Take it.
I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Let's go. I hope a lot of doors open for you this year and many years to come. While you've been out here for 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years.
6 years.
I've been out here for 16 years, and it gets tough for every year. But you gotta just create your own path and open up your own doors sometimes too.
Yeah.
And find the right people that are gonna collaborate with you and things like that. So I know it's gonna happen for you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything you would like to tell our audience here? Any inspiring actors or actresses or theater people? Anything you want to tell them?
Yeah. So, okay. When I was younger and growing up, and I would think about my life, I never thought acting was something you could realistically do as a profession. I thought it was something for the starving artist type, or the people that are crazy enough to believe it might maybe be able to make it happen, but I'm not that crazy. I'm too smart for that. And then I realized when I got older, when I did my exchange program in New York, there were two beliefs I had in my mind that were really holding me back, and they were constructs maybe of the way I was raised or where I grew up, but also partly things that I believed for myself. And those two things were that in order to make it as an actor, you had to be the best of the best of the best. And who can do that? Who can be the best of the best of the best? Secondly, I thought you had to beat all the odds, and the odds are incredibly hard to beat. So I was like, that rules me out from the beginning, right? But when I went to New York and I really saw people who were living their lives this way, who were pursuing artistic pursuits, and who really were doing what they wanted to do and working in this industry and making a living, I realized two things. One is that that whole idea of having to beat the odds is a complete fallacy. Odds are nothing but numbers that measure what is. And we as human beings create what is. So when whatever we create changes, those numbers change. There's no beating them. They don't determine anything. So when I realized that, I was like, well, why am I even letting that be a factor? The second thing I realized that it's not about being the best of the best of the best, because most of the time that just doesn't exist. it's about knowing exactly who you are and being able to fully be that, and then work really, really hard. And if you can do that, there is a place for you, and there's enough for all of us. So
It was very well said.
Well,
Very
you.
in depth. I loved it.
Thank you.
Mary-Helen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification bell below. Check out Mary-Helen's work. All the links will be down in the description below as well, including her new series that will be coming up soon. I will add that once it's available. And that's all for tonight. See you later, and we are out.